Hello everyone, my name is Kieran. Welcome back to another Premier League preview. We're back on the channel. Just want to say I do apologise for not posting too much since the last video I did, the review of the Chelsea game. I've just been very busy this week, but I'm hoping to come up with some new ideas that you guys will hopefully like to post in between the match previews and the match reviews as well. So let me know as well if you've got any ideas for any sort of content I should do in between those two sorts of videos, and let me know in the comment section below, or if you are watching live, let me know in the live chat as well. And before we get into it, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new as well. Only 4 subscribers away from 760 subscribers. So if you are new, please to help us out with that. That'd be absolutely fantastic. But today, of course, we're going to be talking about Wolves versus Manchester United. United's second game of the new Premier League season. We started off brilliantly with a 4-0 win against Chelsea, and I don't think anyone realistically expected that. And if you want to go check out my full-time reaction to that game straight after the game finished, it's up on the channel right now. Make sure you do check it out if you haven't already. But the Wolves game is going to be another big test. As I said in the title, it's going to be another big test for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, especially what went on last season, the 2 times we played Wolves. And Wolves has proven to be a very difficult ground for most Premier League teams. Obviously last season's top 6 really struggled against Wolves. We lost 2-1 both times we played them at Molenux last season. 1 in the Cup and 1 in the Premier League. And that is because they're such a decent side. And even though, they haven't had the biggest of budgets like the bigger clubs have, Nuno Espirito Santo, obviously their manager, has spent really wisely, brought in a lot of players from his native Portugal as well, and has turned the team around. And really, they were unlucky not to get top 6 last season. I think the way they played against the top 6 really meant that they probably deserved it more than we did, but luckily we just had better form kind of a bit later on in the season, especially on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer when he first came in. Welcome the Red Devil, thanks for joining, mate, really appreciate it. And yeah, I just think Wolves is going to be a very difficult game. Probably one of the main games in the season, which could be a banana skin. And I think it's good that we're getting this tricky fixture out of the way in the first kind of 3 games of the season. Because if we had to go away to Wolves on one of the last days of the season and get a result, I would not fancy us, to be honest with you. I really wouldn't. So I'm happy we're getting it out of the way at this point. I'm just happy that after tomorrow, we don't have to play Wolves away from home for the rest of the season, unless of course we get them in the Cup once again. But they are a brilliant side. They've got some really good players. Obviously from last season they've kept on the likes of the likes of Willy Bolly, very strong in defence. Ruben Neves as well, and Raul Jimenez. 3 players who, last season absolutely tore it up for Wolves. And that's why I think, amongst the signings that they've made as well, because they've made some really good signings, they've kept their really important players and players who really, did well for them last season. So I think it's going to be a very difficult test. And even though they started the season with a 0-0 draw, their first home game of the season, the fans are going to be up for it. It's going to be so difficult for us, but which means that it'll be such a huge win if we do get the 3 points. And I'm hoping we can get it over the line. Welcome Dan and Patrick, thanks for joining. Dan says tomorrow will be a good test. Their opposition punch well above their weight. Liked and shared. Thanks Dan, really appreciate it. And I totally agree with you. They really are punching above their weight. And I think this season they are probably one of the kind of favourites of the teams below the big 6 to break into that top 6, in my opinion. Paddy says good evening from Unai Emery, and Red Devil goes with 2-0 win. I'm happy with that. I mean, I like the positivity. To keep another clean sheet as well would be absolutely brilliant, especially away from home against Wolves, because not many teams, I can tell you now, are going to go to Molenux and keep a clean sheet. So if we do that and get a 2-0 win, I would be over the moon with that. I really would. So hopefully you're right. Hopefully you are right. But as I said, Wolves is going to be a really tough test for us. I see us kind of being on the back foot, and I think we're going to try and play counter-attacking football, similar to the type of football that we played against Chelsea. And I think there'll probably be a kind of an early storm we're going to have to weather. Obviously, our first game against Chelsea, we didn't really start the best. Chelsea could have been 1 or 2 up in the first 15 minutes. Luckily, when we did get that first goal, we did start to settle back into the game. And I think against Wolves, I feel like it's going to be a similar story. I hope it isn't, but if I was going to predict it, I feel like we're going to probably come out, let Wolves come onto us, have a few decent chances, and as long as we weather that storm, as long as we hang in there, and then sucker punch them up the other end, I think, it'll be an alright game. But if we do let them score early, it could be a very, very difficult battle from there on in. Red Door says the slabhead will help us keep a clean sheet. Yeah, he was an absolute colossus in that defence against Chelsea. As I said in my reaction to that game, he just looked like he belonged in a Manchester United shirt. And if he can perform like that every week, then happy days. But I think he'll definitely be a major, major factor. And as long as he plays the same as he did against Chelsea, I don't think we'll have any problems defensively. Patrick says if we win games like these this season, then it's going to be a pleasant season mostly. Exactly. As I said, I don't think many top 6 teams are going to come to Manu and come away with 3 points. If we can do that this season, that would be a massive achievement. Yes, it'll only be early in the season, but it would be a massive achievement if we were able to do that. So I'm really holding out hope that we can start well, or even just weather the storm of Wolves, because they're going to be up for it. They're going to come into it, first home game of the season. They're going to be hungry to kind of, put us on the back foot. And we just need to play our normal counter-attacking football and do what we do best. Do what we did against Chelsea and just provide the sucker punch, be clinical when we need to be. And if we can do that, I think we'll be fine in the game. But it's going to be it's going to be an interesting watch. It really is going to be an interesting watch. I think it'll be a nervy watch as well. Very nerve-wracking. But as long as we get the 3 points, it doesn't matter. Red Devils says, can I come on the review? Now, I would definitely love for you to be on the review, but here's the thing, I'm not sure whether I'm going to be able to do a review straight after the game, which means that it's going to be difficult in terms of timing, because of course, it's a night game, it's an 8 o'clock start, so that means the end of the game will be around 10 o'clock, and then I think I'll be out watching it. I'm not sure where I'm going to be out, but I think I'm going to be out watching the game with some of my friends, so if that does happen, then I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do a live stream. I'll probably have to do kind of a quick reaction video. But if I am here and I am able to do a live stream review, then I'll definitely have you on, mate. I'll definitely have you on. So yeah, I'll message you later about it. But yeah, that'll be good. Also, I did see the Lampard out is trending. I know, obviously, a draw against Leicester, not the best result for Frank Lampard's men. A lot of people doubting him. I mean, I still think, from a kind of United fan looking in on Chelsea, I think Lampard's probably going to get the full season. I don't see him being sacked purely because of that transfer ban. I think if Chelsea were to sack Lampard, who wasn't even able to bring in anyone he wanted to bring in, I think that'd be very, very harsh for me. I think that'd be very, very harsh. But you never know. Chelsea is a bit of a cutthroat club. So, again, we might see Lampard sacked, but I think it's still very early days, and I was surprised he didn't get the win. First game back at Stamford Bridge, I was surprised. Welcome, Rashford. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate it as always, man. So, yeah, Lampard out was trending. It's welcome to football management. I'm not sure whether he thought... I mean, I don't think he thought it was going to be easy by any means, but at the same time, he hasn't had a great start. But we'll see how Chelsea do this season. I think a lot of people did tip them to fall outside the top 6, so maybe that does give an opportunity to the likes of Wolves or Everton or one of these teams to break into that top 6 if Chelsea fall out of it. Patrick says, we've always had bogey teams. In the olden days, there were Borough, Blackburn, and these days, Wolves and Stoke. I don't know these games, always nail-biting stuff till the end, rarely get a comfortable game. Exactly, I totally agree. I mean, Wolves games are always very, very tight, especially last season, we lost both of them, but it just seems like whenever we go to Molenux especially, we just crumble a bit, and hopefully we don't do that. Hopefully we take the confidence that we saw in that first game, which I'm not getting carried away with as well, because obviously we were quite lucky in that first game, really, to win 4-0. It just wasn't a 4-0 game at all. So at the same time, we have to take the positives from that game, where there was a lot of positives, and if everyone's performing at the same level as they did, particularly in that second half against Chelsea, then I think we'll be fine. But we just have to weather that early storm from Wolves. They're going to come out really hungry, really wanting to put us on the back foot. So I think, again, you know, we just have to weather that storm, really. We just have to weather the storm. Dan says with VAR, it'll be more like an 11:30 finish. It could be, mate. It really could be. I mean, that's a joke. I mean, you're joking there, but you never know with VAR these days. It's just seemingly getting a bit silly, really. But hopefully we don't get kind of dicked on with VAR in this game. Hopefully it's a smooth game where, you know, we score goals, Wolves don't, and we come out of there with the 3 points. For me, it just doesn't matter how we get the 3 points as long as we get them. You know, it doesn't matter whether, you know, we score in the last minute off kind of David Hayes' arse cheek. I don't care. As long as we get the 3 points and just get the hell out of there, I'm happy. Because as you know, Patrick said earlier, you know, winning these sort of games in the season is really, really positive, and it shows what sort of direction we can go in. The Red Devils says, what's your prediction? I will be giving my prediction a bit later on, of course, because I started this stream a bit late because I was away for the weekend, so I've just come back this evening, so I thought I'd just get this kind of preview in, and obviously I've just come back, so I probably won't be live for too long because I'm a bit tired today. So I will probably be live for the next kind of 10 minutes. But I will put in my lineup prediction and then I'll give you my score prediction as well. But the next thing I want to talk about really is the potential involvement of Alexis Sanchez in the game. I think, you know, Alexis Sanchez obviously has a lot of transfer speculation recently, linking a move away to the club that Lukaku's at, Inter Milan. And a lot of people saying that they would love to sell Sanchez to Inter Milan, get him off the wage bill so we can potentially bring somebody else in kind of January or even next summer. But Solskjaer in a recent press conference did say that people would be very surprised to see how many minutes Alexis Sanchez was going to get this season. And that did surprise me, even though, you know, Sanchez on his day can be a really, really good player. With all the transfer speculation around him, I didn't expect Solskjaer to come out with something like that. But he has done, and that's why I'm thinking potentially Sanchez may be on the bench for this game tomorrow and might even have an involvement. Now, I want to get your thoughts on that. How would you feel if Alexis Sanchez, you know, came off the bench tomorrow? How would you guys feel about it? Would you want to wait until and see how he performed? Or do you think we should get rid of Alexis Sanchez, get him off the wage bill and bring somebody else in the summer? Please let me know your thoughts in the live chat. Rashford says, Wolves are a team that are difficult. They defend well and hit you on the break. Even when your fitness drops, their defence is not easy to break down. And so their midfield threat and attack. Yeah. Well, no, I think they are very, very threatening. I think they do play a similar style to what Man United play as well, in terms of on the break. And, you know, we're just going to have to kind of hope that we're more clinical than them, really. I think that's kind of the only way we're going to win the game, is when we get our chances, we have to take them, because against Wolves, especially away from home, it's a very, very difficult place to come, so you need to take your chances when they come to you. Patrick says, couldn't we all agree VAR brings closure to every decision? Well, I mean, I think that's a good point. It does, you know, make things a lot clearer, but, I mean, last night, that handball goal, which got ruled out for Man City, I mean, I wasn't complaining. Don't worry about that. I wasn't complaining. But to be honest with you, if that was given against Manchester United, I'm not sure I'd really be happy. And I mean, that's not VAR's fault, really. That was kind of the fault of the change in the rule of the handball law, which meant that any time it strikes the hand of an attacking player in the box, it's going to be no goal. So it's all about the natural silhouette or something like that, which it just doesn't seem right, really. But of course, I don't make the rules. Just as a fan, I just don't see why it's in there. And yeah, it's annoying, really. But hey, what can you do? Patrick says, glad the controversy of a wrong decision is of the past. I mean, I think that is a decent. It's a decent kind of point, because, you know, a lot of people is kind of saying, oh yeah, it was a bad decision or whatever, and obviously VAR does mean that everything is correct, but a lot of people saying, you know, VAR kind of, you know, ruins the celebrations. You know, people can't celebrate a goal because it might be ruled out for VAR. Now, that is probably one of the big talking points, but I do agree with you. You know, it does mean that the right decision is made, and there will be less injustices in the Premier League. Welcome Phil Mitchell, thanks for joining, mate, really appreciate it. He says, going to be more difficult game than Chelsea. I'm thinking a 2-1. Yeah, I think it's going to be very, very difficult. I totally agree with you, Phil, totally agree with you. Dan says, Inter seem to love donkeys, they can have Matic too for free. I think a lot of people would love that, Dan. A lot of people would absolutely love to see Matic on his way to Inter Milan. So Yeah, I think Inter Milan, I'm surprised they're going for Sanchez because, yes, he's a really, really good player, but the wages they're going to have to pay for him is not worth it. It really isn't worth it. So if you're an Inter Milan fan watching now, I would be worried, but that's you. That's you. If Alexis Sanchez goes to Inter, Antonio Conte deserves a statue at Old Trafford, says Rashford. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right, mate. As I said, I mean, if they take Matic as well, give him a knighthood. Give him a knighthood. Patrick says it's handball. The deflection helped. Using the hand is illegal. The point there is the deflection helped the attacking team. I mean, I think it did. It definitely did help the attacking team because if it came off his shoulder, it would have come off a different angle. So I think in that instance, you're right. But at the same time, I think there's definitely still a bit of ambiguity there. But I think we could argue all night about VAR. I've got to say because it's such a contentious issue. But in a good way, it's making us debate. We're having this sort of debate more often about VAR, so it doesn't kind of kill the debate that you have on a pub or with your mates about football because we're still debating VAR decisions and it's all good. Welcome to Watford Hornet. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate it. Make sure you do check out his channel if you haven't already. Really, really good stuff. He says second game for Watford, second game where we should have had a penalty. VAR checked both and still didn't give them. Both absolutely blatant as well. VAR is just the opinion of another deluded ref. Well, of course, VAR is kind of a machine, but at the same time, it's a machine operated by a human. So, at the same time, I think that's definitely a point there, obviously, because ultimately, it's still down to kind of that human judgment. And obviously VAR does help the referees quite a lot make the right decision. But at the same time, there are still going to be some decisions which aren't 100% right or 100% wrong. So, as I said, it's going to be a lot of debate. But yeah, Watford seems to be getting very, very unlucky. Very, very unlucky with the use of VAR. Phil says it's definitely the right decision. It led to a goal. Yeah, I think, the question is, if that was a defender and it hit the defender's hand, would you give a penalty? That's the question. If it was the other way round, would a penalty have been given? Rasha says, Wolves will always make mistakes for their opponent. Any errors will be punished, and that's why we can't make mistakes against Wolves. Any mistake is a goal for them. And exactly, we saw that last season, Fred made the mistake, lost the ball on the edge of our own box, and they punished us and made it 1-1. And when that game... when that happened, it completely changed the game and brought the momentum to Wolves, and it made it really, really difficult for us. So I totally agree with you. We need to keep the mistakes down to a minimum, and also when Wolves make a mistake, because I feel like if we do play the kind of high press game, they will make a few mistakes in possession. If we do overturn the ball, we have to be clinical. We have to be ruthless in front of goal, and that's what Martial and Rashford have to do. They have to continue being clinical in front of goal like they were against Chelsea. Patrick says, yeah, VAR deserves another stream. Yeah, I know. Phil says that they need updates in the stadium and the fans are just sat there clueless to what's happening. Why don't they show the replay on the screens? They don't. In fact, they don't even show the replay. They just show on the big screen like, checking handball or checking penalty. And the fans can't even see what's going on, but they can all they know is that the check is happening. So it's a bit annoying for match-going fans, but of course, if you're watching on the TV, you get the best coverage, but you want to be at the games, really. But anyway, guys, I'm going to give you my predicted lineup for the Wolves game right now. I think it's going to be very, very similar to the one we saw against Chelsea, in my opinion. I feel like Solskjaer is probably going to go with the if it ain't broke, don't fix it mentality. So that's what I've gone for there. I've gone with David De Gea in goal, Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Really, really solid back four. Kept a clean sheet against Chelsea. Really, really good. Midfield two of Pogba and McTominay, Andres Pereira as the further forward central midfielder. I've gone with a 4-2-3-1 formation. Then I've gone with an almost front three almost, but it's kind of a two behind a one. So I've gone with obviously Anthony Martial, number 9 up front. And then the one change I think he potentially could make from the game against Chelsea is that we might see Daniel James start. I think we might see Daniel James start. I think potentially he might have seen what we saw against Chelsea and go, you know what? Daniel James, he deserves a starting place. And I'd love to see Daniel James start, but some might say he's much more lethal coming from the bench because his pace is undoubtedly, is scary for defenders. We saw that against Chelsea. He made some really, really good bursting runs down the flank. And against tied fullbacks, that is going to be very, very useful indeed. But I do think Daniel James could come into the side. And I've gone with Marcus Rashford as well. Obviously the top goal scorer in our team. And I think hopefully he can continue that sort of form, as well as Anthony Martial. As I said, it's going to be crucial in this game that we're clinical in front of goal, because if we're not, I think we're going to get punished. So that's my starting 11 prediction for the game. Let me know what you think in the live chat, and also the comment section below. I realise I've not changed the screen, but there you go. Take a breath there. So yeah, that was my predicted lineup for the game. Phil Jez, Dan James will help us a lot if he starts. Wan-Bissaka doesn't Wan-Bissaka doesn't need to do two jobs. Exactly, I think, Wan-Bissaka and Daniel James kind of, Daniel James overlapping Wan-Bissaka. I think that's really, really good pace and really, really good forward thinking. And I think as well, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I'm not sure his game going forward is as good as his defensive game. So bringing on Daniel James on that right hand side with the pace he has will definitely improve Wan-Bissaka's attacking game and will make him more of an asset going forward. Yeah, Daniel James in for Jesse Lingard. That's what I was thinking. Sorry, I didn't realise at the time, but yeah. Jesse Lingard out, Daniel James in. Even though I thought Jesse Lingard played alright against Chelsea, I feel like potentially after Daniel James' goal, I think Solskjaer might want to keep his confidence high and put him in for the Wolves game. Rashford says, I will just change Pereira for Fred. Let's play him in his preferred position and see what happens. I think, Fred, of course, is going to be someone who it's going to help us, I think, in terms of squad depth. I don't think personally that Solskjaer sees Fred as his preferred starting midfielder. I feel like he probably sees Fred as a kind of bench player, as someone who can come in for a potential injury. And I think Fred, his first season at Manchester United, it was up and down really. He had some good games, he had some really poor games, and especially I thought his last game against Wolves, the game in the Premier League, he had a bit of a shocker. Obviously, he gave the ball away, which led to the goal. So I don't see him starting Fred, but I think we will have to use Fred and utilise the fact that he will help us in terms of squad depth this season. Rashford, oh no, he just deleted it. Patrick says, another thing I'd like to bring up, football players has a lot to learn from rugby players. Get on with the game. Exactly, I mean, that's the problem, players are going down way too easily now, way too easily, and it's frustrating. And of course, if you do watch rugby, I mean, I'm not a massive rugby fan, but I do watch it occasionally, usually when England are playing, but of course the Rugby World Cup's coming off, isn't it? But yeah, I do sometimes watch rugby, and I do think the game kind of flows a bit better, even though there are stoppages for kind of fouls and things like that. I mean, it does seem like rugby players do know kind of how to get back up from a fall and how to carry on. Phil says I would start Greenwood and use Daniel James an impact sub. Well, I mean, both options there are really good, because either you're bringing Mason Greenwood on or you're bringing Daniel James on from the bench. Both of those two players from the bench are going to be very, very good assets, I've got to say, and that's why I'm really looking forward to seeing how we utilise the squad depth this season, especially on the wing positions, because we have a lot of it. And Mason Greenwood and Daniel James, I'm looking forward to seeing them more regularly, and I think Mason Greenwood definitely has a shout in potentially starting this game, but I do think he'll either go with Daniel James or he will continue with Jesse Lingard. Rashford says Lingard needs to be benched and earn his place back. At the moment, deserves bench, not starting 11. I think this. I mean, I thought he played alright against Chelsea. I thought he did play alright against Chelsea. So if he can keep up that form, that's great. But at the same time, it's no guarantee how long it's going to last. So he's going to have to prove a lot of the doubters wrong if he is going to stake a claim for that regular starting place. Patrick says I'd say away game is not good to bring in new players. Greenwood, James. I'd wait for a comfortable game at Old Trafford. I remember Everton Village debut against City, if my memory serves me right. I mean, look, that is true, obviously. Away to Wolves is not a very easy game whatsoever. So you could be right in that aspect. It might be better to kind of hold the players off. But at the same time, if you put them in and they perform, that is a massive, massive confidence booster for them. So we'll see what Solskjaer does. I do think he might just go back to Jesse Lingard. I think you're right, Patrick. But I have thrown in Daniel James there just because of how well he played against Chelsea when he came on. But guys, I am going to give you my score prediction as well for the game. Welcome, Tech Man. Thanks for joining, Tech, as well. Really appreciate it, mate. Make sure you do check out his channel on YouTube and on Twitch as well. Really, really good stuff. But yeah, Tech, obviously 1-1 draw against Leicester today. I wonder what you're thinking about that. I wonder what you're thinking about that. Also, Lampard out is trending. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? But anyway, I'm going to give you my score prediction for the game tomorrow against Wolves. I'm sorry it's not the longest stream because I will probably be going after this, but I did get back a bit late and it is a bit later on than usual. So anyway, going to get my score prediction in. Before I do, Phil says I'm really worried that Mason Greenwood is going to get dropped for Alexis. I'd be annoyed if that did happen because I thought Mason Greenwood when he came on, showed a lot of promise, and I think it'd be fine to have Sanchez, Greenwood on the bench, and even Daniel James. That's three kind of really good wingers on the bench to bring on, and if we are down in a game, to be able to bring on Sanchez, Greenwood and Daniel James, three really good options going forward. Oh yeah, make sure you do check out 20 Sports as well. Really good channel. Make sure you do check it out. Sorry mate, I forgot you had a channel. So yeah, make sure you do check it out. But anyway, yeah, my score prediction, I'm going to be positive. After the Chelsea result, I feel like I'm going to be positive. I'm going to go with a 2-1 victory to Manchester United. I think we are going to reverse what happened last season. 2-1 victory to United. I think we could nick an early goal. I think potentially Anthony Martial might nick an early goal for us. Wolves, I think, will then equalise, but then late in the second half, probably 70th, 80th minute, somewhere around there, we'll get a goal. Marcus Rashford makes it 2-1. Martial and Rashford, 2-1 win, and just get the hell out of there with the 3 points and move on to our next game. 2-1 win to United I'm going for, and I'm feeling optimistic, even though I do think it's going to be a very difficult game. It's going to be a very difficult game. Tech says, poor result. I think Lampard should have rotated the team. We were burnt out after 30 minutes. I think I do agree that the way Chelsea played against Manchester United in the first game of what I saw, it was very much high energy, high press. And it really did work for the first kind of 15-20 minutes of the game because you really put us under pressure. But in the second half, you kind of tied out a bit. And I think potentially that's what happened in the first game as well. So I think you could be right. And I think rotating the team is going to be very important. The squad depth is definitely very important. But of course, really good for Mason Mount as well to get his first goal in Premier League football. Rashford says, Wolves Stadium is very scary stadium to play. Their fans give them that energy. Exactly. And it's going to be their first home Premier League game of the season. The fans are going to be right up for it. Patrick goes with a 3-1 win to Manchester United. Love that. Welcome RB Comps. Thanks for joining. Yep, I did see a Dybala wonder goal. Beautiful goal from Dybala, to be fair. And it looks like he's loving life in Juventus once again. So good luck to him. Tech says the sooner we get the likes of Callum Hudson-Odoi and Ruben Loftus-Cheek back, the better. I think that as well. They were such decent players for you guys last season. And I think once you get them back, I think your team will almost be even younger, but that counter-attack you will have and that the assets they bring you is brilliant. So I think when they come back, I think you'll definitely have a change of fortune. Patrick says, Daz was writing down our predictions earlier in the stream. I think he offered 10p to the person with the correct prediction. Well, I'll tell you what, that's a massive prize. I'll tell you what, I would love 10p at the moment. I'd love it. The text says, remember that we had a grueling game against Liverpool less than 3 days ago. That was definitely a factor. Yeah, that's a good point, of course. It really probably, the way you played against Liverpool, which was a really positive performance, I thought, from Chelsea. It did take a lot of our view, especially the fact that you played, Wednesday and then you played on Sunday. It's not really that great, is it? But I guess that's what you've got to have to contend with, and we're going to have to contend with that in the Europa League, playing Thursday, Sunday as well. So we're going to have to learn how to rotate the squad, and that's a worry for kind of later in the season. But anyway, guys, I'm going to end it here. Thank you so much to everyone who did join me for this late edition of Red Devil Weekly Live. Please do let me know your thoughts and predictions in the comment section below going into the Wolves game. Do you think we're going to come out of it with the 3 points. Saeed, my prediction, thanks for joining by the way, is a 2-1 win to Manchester United. I'm feeling positive. Let me know your prediction in the comment section below, and subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. Only 4 subscribers away from 760 subscribers, so please do help us out with that in any way you could. But guys, thank you so much for your support, really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for my match reaction. Hopefully it's going to be a positive win for Manchester United and we go to the top of the table. If not, I'll see you here with a bit of a sorry look on my face. But till then, hopefully you get the result. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.